if you have not spoken before today, means like in the morning session you didn't had an opportunity to speak, I encourage you to just do a one-line brief, not even one line, a half-line brief introduction before we get started. Vivek, do you want to do that first, maybe? I know you introduced yourself, but.
So introduction about me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Vivek Patel. I'm in Toronto, power addict, power platform addict. I would say myself and Ashraf, we run power platform user group in Toronto. Same way. Also, we have mostly we were focused initially on Power BI, but now we are focused on entire Power Platform area, and we have around 2,000 members in our group. Some of the names I see in here, it is familiar from our user group. So, and also I'm Microsoft Power Platform MVP, and I have a business. I run. I'm a senior director North America for Stridley Solutions. So that's all.
Thanks, Vivek. Saurabh, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Saurabh Pimpragaukar. I am working as a manager in KPMG along with Kunal, and basically working mainly on Power Platform, Power Apps portals, and designing solution for our clients, and working through all the interesting and challenging projects that are basically thrown to me. So that's me.
Kent.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kent Weir. I'm from Calgary as well, and I work for Microsoft. I'm part of the PowerCat team, so I lead a group of solution architects that work with our strategic customers on implementing emerging technology. So within my area of the team, we focus on RPA, so Power Automate and RPA, and then also Power Virtual Agents, our conversational chatbot service. So I'll be talking more about those topics, I guess, after this Q&A in room 2.
Perfect. Thanks, Kent. Dina?
Hello, everyone. I'm from Calgary as well. My name is Dina. I work for Deloitte as a technical lead / solution architect, and I typically get excited when people talk about AI and Power Virtual Agents. I hope you all enjoy today's session. Have a great day, everyone.
And we have Ashraf.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashraf. I'm one of the 12 MVP, Microsoft MVP in data platform here in Canada. I'm also co-leading the Power Platform user group community with Vivek. We have very strong community here based in Toronto. So I encourage everyone who is not member yet in our user group, please join us to make it more stronger and more bigger community. So we recently exceeded 2,000 members, and we are hoping actually to exceed 3,000 users by end of this year. So that's our KPI. So please help us achieve our KPI. Thanks.
No, good goal. Any of the speakers who are actually on the call, Karen, and joining the panel?
We have Noor online. Noor.
Don't feel shy.
So I think Haniel and David just finished their session, so they are taking a break after talking for an hour. All right, I think we can get started. Who wants to go first? Anybody, who is the brave soul to go and ask the first question?
I'm wondering, are you going to be answering the questions from Slido?
I will ask the question, but if you are on and you are comfortable turning on your mic and asking the question, I'll actually encourage you to.
So the priority for live questions.
Okay.
With camera, please. Turn on your camera, please.
Okay, so if anybody is asking question, sure. Okay, Kent said something. Oh, so Power Platform UG group. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hi. This is Sandeep. I recently started learning Power Apps and Power Platform. I come from SAP domain. Majority of my experience is from SAP BI side, but I think SAP is declining for last few years, and Microsoft is gaining more momentum. So I would like to know what is the best way to get the access for the practice. I did one course from Microsoft. It's on Udacity with Donna Sarkar and Greg Hallman. But when I signed up, developer E5 license, still it's not full that you can just do all the activities for practicing on your own, because they provide 1 GB in the Dataverse, and that's almost full when you enable the sample data. So is there a way to extend the capacity of the Dataverse at least so that you can practice and have everything integrated, rather than you keep on signing for a monthly trial? That's kind of expensive, right? When you are looking for the practice kind of.
Right. Who wants to take that one on?
So I can try. And so,
Okay.
are you signing up for trials? Is that your vehicle in? Is signing up for the trials?
No, I did sign up for the developer E5. So that's kind of a full enterprise, but on a small scale, right? That's what they said. Like they showed step by step on Udacity that how you can sign up for the developer E5 license. So I can log into the Power Apps, Power Platform. But when I tried with the Dataverse, it has a 1 GB limit. And when you activate the sample data, it's kind of over capacity.
I see. Yeah, because typically all of the services in the Power Platform have a trial, and those trials are pretty forgiving in terms of what you can do to extend them. And so, like, that's generally the vehicle that people will use to go ahead and explore, a set of functionality, and then decide if they want to go ahead and invest further for themselves or the company they represent. And so there's also partner programs as well. I'm not sure if you work for a partner firm or not, but there's also entitlement that does get extended out to partners to help learn the technology as well.
No, I'm not coming from partner. So what you're saying, that is it better that I can sign up for the trial and then? Okay.
Yeah, like with the developer license, you get access to it, and one of the big benefit is whatever you create is long term. It doesn't expire after 30 days or something, right? So it's long.
Yeah, that's what my main meaning. Like, I don't mind to sign up with a credit card for 30 days, but the work you do for your demo, right? You don't want it to be deleted after 30, 40 days, and then you redo again when it's time to show.
Yeah, but if you are trying to learn something, the best way, if you want a full-fledged environment where you're able to do it, is to go for a trials. I put in a link for the trial sign up as well in the chat, so where you can go in and get a sign up. Especially it becomes important if you're working with things like Dataverse and so, right? That's where it becomes a little more complicated. It's not part of the office, and that will be the approach. One of the other things is you are working with the limitation of 30 days limit. But you can actually overcome it. Like there are a couple of ways you can actually request for the trial to be extended beyond 30 days.
Yeah, I think they do extend few times. That's what it was written in documentation.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think I personally have also extended it for like about 3 months. So after 1 month, I did got like about three months of extension on one of my trials. So yeah, we do get extensions.
Okay.
Yeah, and
right.
for somebody who is a very new, I just put Microsoft Learn Power Platform path over there. So somebody who is just getting into Power Platform and you want to know, I think it is the best resource available to start learning and explore Power Platform.
Right.
Okay.
Charan, you had something. You have. I see your earpiece.
Yeah. Just to say that especially for Dataverse, even if you didn't have a trial license, or if you just bought out just a E1, E3, E5, whatever license, right? You'd still be getting only 1 gig to start with. So anything it, you'll have to buy it. So even with a full license, which is a non-developer license, you would still get only 1 GB to start. That's only applicable to Dataverse though. I think like and I'm not sure like if you, I mean, I've heard this the first time that if you do apply or bring in the sample data, it does it goes over capacity. Usually sample data sets are quite small and they won't overrun the 1 GB capacity though. However, like what I was trying to say is that with Dataverse, that I know that even with a full license, you'd still be at 1 gig.
Okay, because I activated the sample data, and when you go to the admin center, then you sometimes in the Microsoft documentation they say you assign the capacity to your own environment and stuff, but it doesn't allow you to do anything with the E5 developer license, like because it's kind of small.
Developer
limited.
License,
yeah,
it's locked down, so you don't even get a capacity management to be doing.
Yeah,
that. So
correct. It doesn't allow to do any changes. So maybe trial is the way.
Yeah, trial is the way to go, and I think Kent has put a very good article there. So you need to learn about how to deploy solutions from one environment to another. So whatever you are working on the trial, you can take a backup and put it on the new trial that you create in case you need to. Or even if you are creating a solution and maybe you want to reference this later, you want to know how to download the solution back and then be able to reuse it next time when you are actually needing that application. So that's good. Let's see if what Sanguine Charles has, and I see that he is here.
Hello, Kunal.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my question. I'm a business user. I'm not a developer. And actually, I got into the Power Platform through data flows. I was looking for a way to run my Excel Power queries in the cloud. It was taking too much time on a local machine. So I'm very passionate about data flows. I think it's a great way to transform data, to bring it in to Dataverse, to bring it in. But I was wondering what the most efficient way is to get and transform data that's already in there, that's already in Dataverse, and then export it back to Excel, because perhaps it needs to be sent by Excel to external partners. So it's great to use Dataverse and data flows to bring it in, but how do we get it out after, based on a trigger or based on a recurring schedule?
And you want to get the data out from Dataverse or data flow?
Well, the data flow brings it in.
When the baby is sleeping, leave the baby alone.
And once it's in.
Do that again, you get smacky.
1 second, let me.
Listening.
Okay, I think we are good.
Sorry.
Go ahead, I turn it off.
So yes, so the data flow, which is basically a Power Query nonetheless, brings it into the Dataverse. But once it's there, users may interact with it through a model-driven app, for example, and add in their own input, their own analysis, and then you need to send it back out to an external partner. Now you can do this manually in a model-driven app by exporting a view. You can do that, but how can you automate that process instead of having a user actually clicking on the export to Excel button? How can you easily create an Excel file from data that's in the Dataverse, and preferably transform it along the way?
So I have a question for you. Have you tried to explore actually using Power Query in Excel to connect to the Dataverse and get the data back to the Excel again?
Well, no, that's a good point. But again, the problem with Excel is
Power Query that we have in Power BI is the same Power Query that we have in Excel, and it will allow you actually to connect either to dataset in the cloud or Dataverse or like data flow. So you can consume actually the output of the data flow in Excel using Power Query.
Right. So that will be one approach. One of the other things we can do is you have templates within the Dataverse. You can actually create Excel templates, and then you can use Power Automate to actually populate that Excel template based on the data that you have and send it out using the Power Automate. But the glue, the trigger, which is actually going to get this data and get it populated, and then you can actually send it out, is going to be Power Automate. That will be my approach. That's the approach I have actually taken because we had a requirement. We often have requirement where somebody is actually looking for a document, especially in the Excel format and sometimes in Word format, and that's what the approach that we have taken.
Yeah, I had same approach.
Sorry.
Anyone else has any other suggestion? No, I think that's the way to go.
So is it better than connecting directly from Excel to the data flow through Power Query?
There is nothing called better. I'll not get into Power BI, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent comparison. I think we all have our favorites. But if you're looking to automate something, you want to automatically take it up and be able to initiate it, then Power Automate is the way. You can also look into using instant flow. So whenever you are actually in need of this, you just go in and trigger it, and it just generates the file for you and send it out. So some of the options. I see.
Feedback. Thank you.
Thanks, Segwin, for asking the question. Hi, Connie. I see you are online. You have your raised hand. Yeah.
Hello. So I have a question about license. So I'm working in an IT company, and then we have clients from big company and small company. And recently, I saw there are more options about licensing coming up. So for the big company, it's possible they can afford an expensive license, and then the report may roll out to more clients. So I'm just wondering, do you guys already have some example like how this expensive license apply to different kind? Like they have premium per user license and enterprise premium license. So I have a question from clients like, what's this expensive license will do for us? So right now I'm just need your advice, like how this expensive license will help this big company client.
Do you want me to answer or go ahead?
Yeah, your question is little delayed because Ahmed was on the call, and he, he runs the Power Platform practice for Canada, and he could have offered some discount. But I'll let you answer, Vivek.
Yeah, so what we are comparing right now is a small organization versus big organization, and when do you transition from per user premium license to having enterprise premium license? So the difference mainly is per user premium license. If you have, say, 50 people in your company, per user premium license will allow you to do advanced option. It will give you advanced option, but you won't be able to share that particular one with your coworker because they don't have premium license. With the enterprise premium license, if you are creating application and you want to share with your business user, no matter how many are there, they are consumer of the your report, then they will be able to access that. So the limitation is how many people you have. So when you go for a break even, and this is my simple calculation, is if you are near above 400 licenses, pro licenses or per user, you can use a Power BI premium calculator also to identify, okay, what it is going to cost me if I have 200 pro license and compare that against premium license. So I think above 400, you should start thinking. My normal calculation is 500.
500 is a cutoff.
Yeah, my normal calculation, but with now per user premium license, it changes a little bit.
But what is the price for premium per user? I don't think they have officially announced the price.
It is not officially announced. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like we have. So you mentioned before, like premium per user is suitable for a situation like have 50 people will use a Power BI report. Can you just be more specific about that point?
Can you repeat your question? Or
Yeah, I'm not sure. Premium per user. So you mentioned in the beginning, like it will fit for a situation like there will be 50 people using the, review the Power BI report.
Mm-hmm.
So can you just like be more specific about that one? Like right now, let's say they have different store managers,
Mm-hmm.
and then we want to make sure they only see their store's information, not everyone else. Would this premium per user license apply to this situation?
You don't need a premium for that. There is a option row level security in Power BI Premium. So even if they have a pro and you're preparing report and you're sharing with them, row level security will solve your problem. It will automatically filter your data based on their persona. So if they are responsible for North, you can use a row level security and region filter based on North. So row level security will solve that problem, what you are asking.
Okay, so
Connie, just a quick comment here based on my understanding of your situation. When you talk about 50 users, yes, I totally agree with you. Premium could be too expensive for 50 users. I'm not sure if you can survive with the pro license or not. If not, please wait for the next month, because in Ignite, they will officially announce the price of premium per user. So let your client wait one more month until we get the price for premium per user, and you can take it from there. Otherwise, the only two options that you have, either pro, if they can live with that, or to go to premium, which will be extremely expensive for 50 users.
Okay. Then do you know what kind of functions will premium per users license provide? Like before I hear something like advanced option, so can you just expand?
The size is one of them, because in the pro license you have limited the size when it comes to the model that you can deploy to the cloud. So definitely size is one of the biggest factor. Plus some of the advanced analytics capabilities will be also available through the premium per user, like AutoML, AI cognitive services, and some other interesting features as well.
Okay.
So I can share some information with you.
I'm adding in chat window the blog.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny, for the question. And if you have further follow-up questions to it, you can just reach out to any of us while the sessions are going on later, and then we can have more discussion focused on your situation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Connie. Hi, Ben. I see you on the line. Do you have a question? I don't see your hand raised, but
sorry,
okay.
I thought I did have my hand raised. I come from a civil engineering firm, so I'm far from a developer, and so I'm fairly new to Power Automate, and I'm trying to sort of automate some processes within my organization, and I just got sort of two questions. I think the first one I already submitted to that form. It's just, is there any way to sort of override the 30-day limit that sort of each flow have? Or I don't know, workarounds, I think.
For the timeout?
Yeah, the timeout.
And why do you want to override it?
Yeah, so I guess I'm building an approval workflow, and I'm finding that people get busy, and sometimes the flow just doesn't complete within 30 days.
I think approval flow had a longer timeout period. Like nobody knows Power Automate, not Flow, more than Kent. So like Kent.
So you are right. There is a 30-day limit, and so I think there's a couple strategies that you can use. One is there's and I'll find the link here. Serge Luca had come up with basically a pattern to implement to help with this specific period. Essentially, what you end up doing is almost like storing your state outside of Power Automate, so like a state machine type approach. And then you can go ahead and extend it beyond that, because flow just becomes like it just wakes up and does work because you're storing your state elsewhere. I think the other thing that you can explore as well, and I'll get some links here shortly, is you can also set timeouts for the approvals. So for example, if someone is, say forgets about the approval itself, you can go ahead and basically send, expire that and say, okay, instead of giving you a month to complete your approval, what I'll do is I will expire it after, say, a week. And then what I'll do is I'll send it to you again. So there's some strategies that you can also use from that perspective to help prompt people with that as well.
Yeah, to sort of tie on to that, I think I was looking to dividing the approvals into multiple a main flow and a nested flow, and I think I just don't exactly know how to. I think the way to do that is using an HTTP request, and I don't exactly know how to bring that data in. So I use Sharepoint. I don't know how to translate that. I was wondering, maybe can I take that offline with you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I know they've implemented this pattern with a few different sources. One is SharePoint, one is HTTP, and one is, I want to say, SQL as well. But yeah, there's a couple options there. But yeah, you are right. There is a 30-day limit. I know it has been requested. You're not the only one. However, I haven't seen it get changed yet either. So yeah, you essentially create like the state machine pattern, and that helps you work around it.
Yeah, I think I posted a link with April's blog about getting past the 30 limit, and I think Kent, you have put the other solution.
Thank you.
So it's there on the chat. Thanks Ben for asking question. Anybody else? While we get the next question, like one of the things we were talking about learning, and like there was this question that how do I? Sandeep was asking, like, how do I proceed with my learning? But if somebody is actually getting in, one of the questions which has come in is, if I'm starting with Power Platform, which app should I start with? Where should I start? Should I go and create a Dataverse? Should I go use Power Automate? I'm a student. I'm trying to learn. What do you guys think?
From my perspective, I would say follow your passion first, because if your passion is about data and analytics, start with Power BI. If your passion is about application development, you can start with the Power Apps. If you're passionate about automation and workflow, maybe you start with Power Automate. So that's my perspective, but I could be wrong. But if you really need to do it from the right sequence, maybe you can start with Power Apps, Power Automate, then Power BI.
I can add my 2 cents here. I feel like I get this question asked a lot, that where should we actually start with, right? Somebody who's completely new to Power Platform. I strongly believe that app in a day program is pretty awesome. Like if you actually do that, it's like a really good start, because that app in a day program just doesn't cover Power Apps. It also touches other aspects of Power Platform. So it's a really good start. For somebody who does not know anything about it, just within a day, they can come out knowing a lot more. So from there, they can build easily. And I've seen like people being very successful with that. Like towards the end of the day, they know which one they have a stronger interest in. That app in a day program really does.
They touch on Power BI in app in a day?
I think like it depends on who's teaching, but I've seen some, yeah, like I've attended myself a few handful of them, and really it's very regional. So depending on like who the speaker is, I've come across many that they completely don't skip, that Power BI part. So they'll only touch Power Apps and the Power Automate. But again, like Power BI again is also, I would say, very independent of Power Apps and Power Automate. So
yeah, it is included, and I don't know, some of you might have not attended today morning keynote session, but Ahmed conducts every month app in a day program. And the benefit of attending his program is at the end, you get a voucher. So you can give one of the exam and certify yourself for free. So I will put that link in our program, but he announced that today. And every month he takes 2,000 people. That's what I know. So it is a very good program, and I'll put a link.
Right. Yeah, like I'm like my experience, it has been that don't look for an app, look for a problem that you want to solve, and then pick an app which solves the problem. That's been one of the thing. Like I was working with some of the students from Ryerson College earlier, a couple of weeks back, and like we had good discussion, and that's what it comes to. Oftentimes, if you start with an app without knowing why you are working with an app, you might not learn or pick something. But if you start with a problem and then work on it, it helps. Dina, you work in Deloitte, right? So you have you are working with a lot of clients and a lot of customers. What technology are they adopting first? And like, are there any challenges that you are seeing with organization adopting Power Platform?
That's a good question.
So typically we see the model-driven app is the number one adoption category. It falls in the number one adoption category because that is something that solves broader ecosystem of problems. And obviously with the Power Apps, as with the Power Automate, we kind of solve a lot of these problems with a combination of just these two technologies. Power Apps and Power Automate solves most of the problems. And as part of this is like if you're building some sort of a MVP product, usually you get to touch the Power Apps as well as the Power Automate. The second version, as soon as the data comes in and you want to get into more of analytics portion of it, then you touch the Power BI, right? Because now that you have the data, you go and explore the data, and Power BI has the best, the framework to make that happen. And slowly moving on to the next, we are already talking to some of our clients about Power Virtual Agents, which is really fascinating for them. We're actually having that on our proposals as well. So they are actually very keen to look into that as soon as we move outside of our MVP solution. So that's also something that everybody's trying to embrace and look at it. A lot of proposals are going on that. So number one, I think Power Apps and Power Automate solves most of the problems. And once you go past the MVP solution, you get into other cool stuff, Power BI and all those things that comes along.
Right. I'm pretty sure you are the one who is pushing them to PVA because I know that's your favorite app in the Power Platform family.
That's the plan. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Personal bias.
Personal bias. I see, Sengvin, your hand is raised. Do you have a question? Now your hand is raised, so you might have to ask a question.
That's your punishment.
Yeah,
don't raise your hand if you don't have questions. Otherwise, you will have to.
No. And guys, please ask questions. I think there's a lot for me to learn as well from your questions that you're asking. Something about Power BI. I didn't know if you had not asked the question. So all of us are learning from your questions. So please ask your questions. While we are talking about bots, and I see Kent has put bots. Anything exciting you can share, Kent, about PVA? What's coming up? Something new happening? Is it ready for prime time now?
And if you can touch on unattended bots, that would be great.
Okay, so we're talking about a couple different things. So, Kunal, were you talking about chatbots or
I'm
RPA
talking about
bots?
PVA.
Yeah. So yeah, when it comes to chatbots, there's definitely a lot of things that are in the works. Some of it I probably can't say, but there's some really interesting stuff coming up related to AI. I think naturally with the whole goal of a chatbot is to understand what someone is saying so that it can route the conversation properly and either respond back to them with more information or transact on their behalf. And so there's some really good things happening this spring. They're in private preview right now, but I think you'll find both the reliability and the accuracy improving. And I think that's probably some of the biggest stuff that is coming, which is pretty exciting because it is something where, AI is still evolving. AI is not perfect as much as, it's all in the papers and it's going to, do all these crazy things. It's just not quite there yet. And, but it continues to improve. So that's what I'm probably most excited about. In terms of, is it ready? I think so. We've got a lot of customers using it. Some of them I can publicly talk about because they're referenced in our case study. So the government of India rolled out a COVID bot. Digital India. This was probably, I guess, late summer, sort of summertime, and they had some incredible volumes, right? They had, as you can imagine, India's got a large number of citizens, and there was a lot of requests, and so it was able to scale to that. Even the Canadian government, there was, as part of one of their COVID-related programs, they had introduced the chatbot. We're seeing cities in Canada, I shouldn't mention their names, but one's in Ontario, one's in Alberta, where they're now starting to roll out PVA bots. And then we also have an NFL team in the States that is using it and sort of that full spectrum of customer service and using the chatbot to deflect as much as possible, but then being able to hand off into a live agent. So all of it's pretty exciting. I think a lot of momentum, a lot of interest. I would say even Ignite, things have really started to pick up from that perspective.
I'll I'll resonate that feeling. Since the COVID happened, there was a lot of demand for these apps to manage different things, from tracking PPE solution to tracking cases and things like that. And I myself have deployed a couple of solutions to a couple of the hospitals where they're actually using these kind of solutions built on Power Platform, as well as we work with a lot of government agencies and regulatory bodies to build a solution around it. So Power Platform has been a key game changer, especially in the emergency times.
Well, and I think we're going to see even more when it comes to the vaccine and the vaccine rollout and how you coordinate that. And I know it's a soft subject up here north of the border, but we're already seeing some organizations being able to use a chatbot to help with scheduling. And so to be able to go ahead and schedule your vaccination and to be able to do that in a low code, no code manner. So yeah, no, it's exciting times for sure.
Right. Any NDA information you can say?
Not if I want to keep my job, so I'll leave it there. But some good stuff coming. I can definitely
no insider information. Yeah.
And it is recorded also session.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be careful, Kent.
Kent, are there any plans for like a reduced pricing? Because right now, there are many. We get a lot of queries from small and medium-sized businesses that are interested in PVAs, but the price point isn't very optimal for them.
Okay, yeah, good question. And this was a little bit in the NDA sort of area, but I know there's been some very serious discussions about that. So probably best that we follow up offline. But also, I would also say is, certainly if you are dealing with a Microsoft rep, is to express that, and there might be something that can be done from that regard. But yeah, let's follow up offline.
Yeah, for sure.
Some more specifics.
So,
but it is something that we have heard, and I believe that there's some things happening to address it.
Okay. I can announce everybody that the lower pricing coming tomorrow.
Yeah, can't even say that though.
Yeah, Sigwin, I see you're back on the call.
Yes, sorry about that. I have a little question about model-driven apps and the use of timelines and activities. I think it's a great way to centralize all the back and forth of communications that's been going on with a record. It's awesome. However, when a user uses a model-driven app, lots of time is spent in the views, in editable grids, for example, okay? Because that's where it's really fast. Is there any easy way to flag a record within the context of an editable grid, so a view, if it has a note or an activity logged in the timeline for that particular record, so that easily in the view the user can see, aha, there's a note for this record?
I don't think there is out of the box way that you can just flag it, but what you can do is behind the scene process to actually whenever there is a annotation record attached to this record, then it goes and sets that flag as notes exist, and then you can actually go in and actually look into it. That will be my quick solution to do it.
I would prefer to go. I would prefer to use PCF control basically for this, which will give you a good visual as well. So look for PCF controls as well.
Right. The only thing is that can it work with editable subgrid?
Not subgrid, really a view, editable grid.
It's editable grid. Right.
It can work if you're creating your own view, sure, but that was the only thing that I was thinking.
Yes.
It might.
You might have to create something of your own, even in PCF. I don't think, right out of the box, that there's something available.
I mean, this will be custom. Definitely, this will be custom.
PCF gallery.
Yeah.
I don't haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, PCF will give a added advantage that we can do more than what it is out of the box, right? So that is we can extend the wings. That's the advantage with the PCF.
Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Anybody else has any other questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. The question is, you go from, if I don't know any of this stuff, okay, and I'm using, let's say Power Apps started with Canvas-based applications. Then they told me, hey, Dataverse, common data service is same as Dataverse, okay. And then entity-based, meaning table-based, meaning relational database, meaning when you were doing access, you had different tables, and tables could exist even in Excel, hundreds of tables can exist in even one worksheet, and you name them and bring it in, and so on. So, and you can create the relationship in either Power BI, which I have done some. Then when you use so with that background, having done a little bit of all this little bit of stuff, when you use the word Dataverse versus model-driven apps, how do you, Dataverse is they give you data. Where is the data? If I create a table, let's say, and I use Dataverse, where is it sitting physically? In Microsoft servers?
Cloud, yep.
Yes.
That's the new name of the Common Data Service. If you are familiar with CDS and CDM,
No, I'm not. That's what I'm trying to understand. Those terms,
Okay.
The Dataverse is a data storage, right? So behind the scene, there is a SQL database where all the data is being stored, right?
Okay.
What you get as part of the Dataverse is an interface which simplifies the database and adds a purpose to it, right?
Yeah.
So you got a SQL database. But if you're working with a database, you apply security and all those things. Dataverse provides that overlay interface to be able to interact with the database. When you create an entity in Dataverse, it just doesn't only create a table, it creates multiple bunch of tables and process to be able to support that entity or the table now, right?
Yeah.
I'm not yet used to the new nomenclature.
So Kunal,
just to add on to Kunal before even follow-up question. It is SQL. Along with SQL, there is something called Cosmos DB to do the elasticity of that SQL. But if you look at the overall architecture of a Power Platform is meant to connect with any database. However, Microsoft is giving an in-house database, which is they initially called it as CDS. Now they recently renamed it as Dataverse. So what does it exactly gives you is it will give you a hey, this is my in-house database, but of course you will have to have your own licensing model for that, and it is enhanceable and it is auto extendable as long as you have a space, and you can also purchase the space for the Dataverse. And advantage with the Dataverse is when you look at the layer performance-wise, Dataverse is the best performance because the database is sitting on top of that itself. Okay.
What was the word you use? It's sitting on top of what?
It is sitting on top of a Power Platform. It is sitting inside the Power Platform. So what exactly that means is that if you see overall, I can connect to any database from from Power Platform, be it as Power Automate, be it as a Power App, or be it as Power BI. I can connect to anyone. But however, depends on your database, you will have to use the connectors. But if the data is there on the Dataverse, you don't have to use any connectors or the gateways. Okay. And performance is also immensely fast because it is sitting inside the in-house. I would say that is part of that. If you look at the architecture, it is And if you know, if you see, Office 365 has many elements. One of the element is CRM, and CRM is the one which was using primarily the Dataverse, and Microsoft has cloned the database or the architecture from CRM to here. If you notice here,
that is Dynamics 365, right? When you
exactly,
use, okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So Dynamics 365 to here, and the model here, and initially they started calling it as entity and fields. Now they are calling it as table and column, just to familiarize with the same architecture or a terminology what we use in the SQL model.
Right. Okay.
So as Kunal said, yes, it is behind the scenes. End of the day, behind the scenes, it is SQL. But apart from SQL, there is Cosmos DB to support the elasticity and performance and tuning factor, because it has to do the indexing for the searching and performance wise.
Right.
So it is not only SQL, because when you use SQL, but the reason why I'm saying is when you see the performance layer, the best performance is Power Platform, best performance is Dataverse. How they are saying that is they're not only using SQL, they're using SQL and Cosmos DB to improve the performance and elasticity, everything. And second layer is all your third-party databases like SQL, Oracle, whatever you call it as. And the third one is SharePoint Online, because SharePoint Online itself has its own APIs to do all these operations. However, the API performance when you compare with SQL and Dataverse, it is relatively low. I hope. And as I'm saying, Dataverse is on top of Power Platform. All the tables and the data, whatever you store or whatever you create, it will sit inside, cloud servers, which is Microsoft servers. Did that answer your question?
There is one more. When you, okay, I understand Dataverse, but there is what I forgot that word.
CDM, CDS.
No. When you use go to Power Apps, you can do Canvas based or data driven.
Model driven.
Model driven.
Model driven.
Tell me the in relation to Dataverse.
Okay.
What does model driven mean exactly?
Model driven is a way of representing your data. Okay, model driven is a way of representing your data. As we all know that Power Platform is a low code, no code solution. There are two, however, Microsoft has given two options. One is a Canvas app and the other one is a model driven app. What is the difference between that is whenever you want to see a colorful look and feel and custom images and custom fonts, that kind of a behavior you want, it is always go with a Canvas app. And also when you are targeting the users to be on site, or like people who are in the market, it is always good to have your data driven model with Canvas app, because it is always handy on the mobile. Earlier it was only with Canvas app. Now slowly model driven apps are also coming on top of mobile model. So second thing is model driven apps are just configurable. You cannot do more customization on that. If you really want to do any customization, again you need to create a Canvas app and embed the Canvas app on top of model driven app. So in Power Platform, there are two type of apps. One is Canvas app and the other one is model driven app.
Yeah.
Right. So Ramesh, let's connect offline.
Okay.
Maybe we can provide more details about it, because it's a very vast topic. Right. Yeah. So let's connect offline for that. Okay. I do see a question in the chat asked by Rodil Mary Ann, and is there guidance you can provide on when to use SharePoint versus Dataverse? I think the answer is always use Dataverse, but I'll open the floor. Yeah, like my preference is like anytime I'm working with data, and if there is an opportunity, if licensing, pricing, those are not the limitation I'm running against, I will use Dataverse. Even if I'm running against licensing or performance, I'll see, can I use Dataverse for Teams before my last resort will be using a SharePoint. Right. Absolutely. That's the approach that I generally take. Yeah.
Okay. To add on to Kunal again, when you say, what is my priority? My priority is cost or my priority is performance. If your priority is performance, definitely Dataverse. And if the data is going to be a relational database, we all know that SharePoint is not a relational database. It doesn't work like that. So never go, analyze the data first. If the data is a relational database, I'm going to have a like, you know, in a week or in a month, I'm going to pump in data, say like 70, 80,000 records. Definitely SharePoint is not the right source. Go with the Dataverse. Number one. Yes, it is cost effective, but the performance wise is immensely fast.
I think even if it was just a few thousand rows, I would still prefer to use Dataverse versus SharePoint. Yeah.
Yeah. I see Victor on the line. Hey, Victor. Sorry, I know you have been turning on and off your camera. Maybe you're waiting to ask the question. So.
You are muted.
We can't hear you because you're on mute.
Still can't hear you.
Still.
Double muted, I guess. I do that all the time.
We have a Siddharth. He has raised the hand. So in the meantime, do you want to ask him?
Yeah, Siddharth.
Hey, folks. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks, Siddharth.
Doing good. A great session, by the way. I just had a question around Microsoft and data tenancy. I work in the healthcare industry, and we require data to reside in Canada, right? So when we are working with any of the Power Platform data, that sort of especially patient-sensitive data needs to reside in Canada. Are there ways to kind of decide how we to have data tenancy within Canada, or deciding what goes across the border, what stays in Canada?
I tell Microsoft rep, like when you're setting up your tenant, like I know that this is applicable to new tenancies. I don't know if you have owned a tenancy from past few years. Now Microsoft does have data centers across Canada. So, not many, but few. But I know like this was all because of that Patriots Act or keeping the data within Canada. So you can still connect with I know it works on the enterprise level. I don't know for based on the scale of your organization how flexible Microsoft is, but I do know that on an enterprise level, organizations have requested to contain their data within Canada. So you can connect with your, I don't know who, does anyone have any?
I think Kent has raised his hand. So Kent.
So I can speak a little to this. I was the GDPR PM for Flow a couple years ago when GDPR was getting introduced. So I've got fairly familiar with a lot of this. So when you actually go ahead and create an environment and you declare which region that you're actually going to use, and you can use Canada with the introduction of those Azure data centers a couple of years ago. So what that means is that data cannot leave that tenant. Like Microsoft will not move your data out of that boundary. Now, if you go ahead and use a connector and you move the data somewhere else, that's on the customer, not on Microsoft itself. But for those reasons, all of the data stays within that specific region. And that's also why we will typically have pairs of data centers within the same country. So for example, like even if there was a DR event in, say, the Ontario data center, it would get flipped over to Quebec. And then you wouldn't lose your national privacy. And that's oftentimes, it's not always, like Brazil is a little bit special, but in general, that's why we do it from that perspective. It's also for this reason, when you go into the analytics experience inside of the admin portal, you can't actually see at the tenant level. We only provide per environment level analytics, and that's another requirement, because if we were going to show tenant, then that would mean that we're starting to ship data across. And for that reason, that it's not leaving your region.
Thank you.
Yeah. No. Thanks for that, Victor. How's your mic?
Hey Kunal, we are at the end of the session, and it is.
Guys,
I know, but
starting.
I think Victor has a question. So
Victor, we cannot hear you, Victor, at all. So if you can write down your question, that would be great. Can you write down?
We can't hear you. So if you can put it in the chat, yeah, if you can put in the chat, it will be great. Or maybe try speaking. I thought I heard something.
So the next session is at 1, right?
Yeah.
Did I announce? Sorry, guys. Did I announce that there is prizes for everybody who asks questions?
Oh, that's too late, my friend.
Too late.
Oh,
so
you intentionally hide.
That's too late.
No, but thanks everybody who asked the question.
Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up badly.
Yeah.
You're breaking up.
When you start to talk about the price, your voice is gone. So.
Sorry, I have a question.
You plan everything
Kunal.
perfectly fine.
Hi, this is Sandeep.
Hi.
I had a question for the Vivek regarding the certification. He mentioned that someone conducts a one-day shop. But does Microsoft offer some discounted codes regularly for the certifications? Because I know it's a $165 USD for certification.
Sometime during event. So I think if you are a part of Ignite, last year there was one certification.
Yeah.
I think full certification voucher was free. So if you attend, I don't know if it is offered this time or not, but during event, yes, it is offered. Sometime in our user group, we get 50% discount code. So we do provide that to our members.
And Power Platform certification, it keeps changing.
Yeah.
So whenever there is a new beta certification coming in, those are available for no charge. So like what I'll encourage, like in case there are a lot of them currently. I think currently also there are 2 certifications which are in beta. So if there is a beta certification going on, those are some of the ways. If you go to events and stuff, generally we have vouchers, and I think you can contact Ahmed if you are working for a Canadian partner firm. You get some eligibility on the free certification voucher as well. So those are some of the ways.
Yeah, PL 100 and PL 200 that is offered.
Did we get the question from Victor?
No, I don't see.
Team, I have my session scheduled at 1 p.m. This is Krishna. I'm the right channel or any other channel I had to go on?
Krishna,
no, you are on
we'll
right
just
channel.
wrap this up and then we'll start with your session.
Thank you.
Kent is going to room 2.
So
we
guys,
have.
if I have the choice, I'm really enjoying this. I would have just continued on. This is a great discussion. So thank you all. Before we wrap up, let's just know which is their favorite app before we wrap up the session. So
Power BI all the way.
Power BI all the way.
Yeah.
What about you, Saurav?
You can put it in chat window.
What about you, Saurav?
It's Power Apps.
With Power Apps, I'll not ask Kent. Kent, how about you say Kent and can't be PVA?
Well, yeah, it is like choosing between your 2 children, but I don't know. I'd probably have to go say Power Automate just because I started with that back when it was Flow and Logic Apps and all that. So I'd probably have to go Power Automate, but PVA is pretty cool. So.
Yeah. What about you, Dina? Dina
Definitely PVA.
Oh,
no questions, right?
Yeah.
You are getting a certificate voucher from Kent for sure.
Maybe dinner as well. You never know.
What about you, Jared?
I think I would go with Power Apps though. We last year was our milestone. We delivered our 200 Power Apps. So for us, I think and I've been involved greatly in a lot of projects. So for me, it is an obvious choice with Power Apps, model driven or Canvas.
Yeah. I often enjoy building solutions when it is spanning multiple apps. You know, like that's where I really enjoy. But if I just have to pick up, mine will be Power Apps Portals. So yeah. Yeah, great discussion, everybody. You know, like we all are here to answer your question. That's the primary thing why we are here. So I will encourage, like, say, for example, if you have a question, just ping us on the chat, and you know, like we can go to a breakout room and you know, like talk to you and help out. So that's the other thing. So just ping us on the chat. And with that, I think we'll start with the session. Thanks all. Thank you, panel.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was
Thanks,
great
everyone.
discussion.
Yeah, it was great discussion.